to Pick Your Potion. My name is Anna Harbert, where we discuss metaphysical and somatic practices to help you be your own self-healer. In today's video, we'll be discussing the 5 love languages, and from a point of view that you probably haven't heard before. This was a book that was written a few years ago by Gary Chapman, who is a psychologist, and it had to do with the different styles that we receive love and that we crave love. And he put them into 5 categories, which were words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the neurodiverse community, as there's been a lot of talk how they have their own love language, which is parallel play, info dumping, penguin pebbling, deep pressure, support swapping. As someone who is neurodivergent, I believe that these stem from the same concepts. They are just more refined because for neurodiverse people, their needs are more specific and are more beneficial to them and more helpful to their partners, so that they understand what is going on when they express these forms of love. When it comes to the 5 love languages, what I found a few years ago when I read the book was that I did not feel that tapped into the relationship book. And when I was at Hobby Lobby, I saw that they were right by the checkout stand, and I noticed that there was a love language for couples and there was a love language for children. And I got both just because I love to really understand the topics. I like doing research. And what I found was there was a big impact on myself personally when I read the child love language versus the couples, because I feel like we put so much emotional real estate into having a couple, but the foundation of our life and our love language actually stems from childhood. So as a parent, understanding your child's love language is one of the most important things, in my opinion, to help establish that own child's inner knowing in themselves and inner confidence that will really serve them versus being a people pleaser or mirroring their parents' love language. So the biggest moment for me when I read the child version of this concept was the fact that it dawned on me that I had embodied my parents' love language rather than mine. And it was very mind-blowing for me, especially as someone who was neurodivergent, because my love language was mainly physical touch, which is the complete opposite of anything that I got. Also, as someone who is energetically sensitive, it's very difficult to welcome that in because there are so many factors going on within the world around you that makes physical touch overwhelming. I remember as a child, I could feel my dad's, I will never forget this. I was laying on my dad's chest and I could hear his heartbeat so loud, and I could feel his energy that I could only lay there for a few moments without twitching and moving around. And now as an energy healer, I understand that I was picking up on all his energy. And I remember my parents would be overstimulated by me moving around, so then they wouldn't want to hold or embrace me because I was too fidgety or I would get too reactive. And I've talked with my mom about this, and she said that it was really difficult for her because she would try to love on me and then I would squirm away. And now that I have this deeper understanding of why it is, because I've done this deep inner work, and I've also put a lot of my research into understanding this because I want to understand myself as a neurodivergent, and I believe that energetics play a big part into this. And when someone is neurodivergent and they get overwhelmed, it's because there's usually a lot of energetic suppression going on within the people around them. Specifically, when it comes to a caretaker, if they have suppressed emotions, the child will pick up on that, and more so probably a neurodivergent versus a neurotypical child. I'm a firm believer in the concept of between the ages of 0 to 7, children are so open that they are imprinted on consistently. This is where they're able to learn languages very readily, and it's because they're picking up on everything that's going on in their environment. And for neurodivergent children, this can be extremely overwhelming, especially in this day and age, if you consider, what's going on in their environment externally as well as internally. Because children are coming in with 247 toxins already embedded within their system. And that leads to automatic dysregulation in itself because it increases the pH acidity of the body, which then creates that neurological dysregulation because the signals get disrupted by an imbalance in the pH. So in balancing your energy as a parent, it assists the child. I'm going to get back into the love languages because it really dawned on me and it made me cry, not just in knowing I didn't understand my own love language as an adult. And after I had that realization, I really put in the work to force myself out of my comfort zone, out of the love languages I had learned, which were my parents, so that I could, be loved, appease them in whatever manner and be accepted. I made the effort to really vocalize what my needs were so I could change and really allow that healing to happen within myself. And it was such a big game changer. But in taking that concept of me not understanding my own love language, it makes you wonder, did your parents even know their own love language, or were they taking on their parents? And I know that there are some children that have the same love language as their parent, and that's probably the ones that get on really well, the easy child. But that's not how it is for every child. And what I realized within our society, due to the woundings that have been inflicted generation upon generation, especially with the lack of talking about emotions, which leads to emotional immaturity. And this doesn't necessarily reflect your outward life. You may have a really well put together life, but you still may be emotionally immature in some degrees. And so it made me question, are our love languages really based on our own needs or of those that have been put in front of us through our families and society? Because it makes you wonder, through the progression of your parents, is it their love language or is it society's love language? So you really have to think about that. I invite you to sit with that question for a little bit, because I know I did, and it really opened up a lot of internal discussion and just an internal discussion about the world around us and how maybe a lot of us haven't had our needs met. And this is where a lot of that repetitive wounding comes up. And when I thought about this at my parents, I wept and I cried, and I had such a deep empathy towards them. And it allowed for some healing to take place because it shifted that blame and victim mentality of, oh, they should have loved me this way. But it's like, how could someone truly love you if they don't understand the concept of choosing their own love language? And with that in mind, when a child becomes free of their parent and starts their own family, I believe that the thought pattern is, well, I'm free of them and now I get to do what I want to do and I've wanted to do. So maybe there was that understanding of how they wanted to be loved, and now they implement it into their family. But the problem is they do a repeat thing because they were forced to live and do what their parents wanted. When it comes to their children, they repeat this. Instead of taking the time to learn their child's love language, to foster that, to really help it grow so that child can have the best experience, that parent demands that the child adheres to their love language because it's what they had to do. I believe that this is a very universal thing at this time. So I invite you to read the book. I have it linked down in the description below so you can get it. If you want to read both of them, amazing, but I firmly believe that reading the child 5 love languages will really give you a deep understanding, especially when you look at the stories that are involved. It really brought up a lot of emotional stuff, and I had to read one chapter at a time because I had to process all this stuff that came up. It's a very emotionally packed book, especially if you have these woundings. If you haven't had the time to understand your own love languages, if you haven't taken a look at that. And I know for me, it was very powerful, not only for understanding my parents, but understanding society and also understanding myself deeply so that I could make changes, so that I could live more alignment with myself and from a place of empathy rather than this anger. So it really helped to foster a lot of forgiveness. And it was just the beginning of a lot of shifts, but it's one that I would really invite you to discover within yourself and really see, is my love language mine or is it my parents'? I am in no way mad that I took on my parents' love languages because I now have a well-rounded understanding of all of them. And I incorporate all 5 love languages, which allows me then to really interact with the world around me from a place of fullness rather than these are my love languages and you have to adhere to mine. I don't think that that's how it works. I think it's good to know what yours are and then understand what somebody else's is and then meet in the middle if necessary, or understand that it's okay to speak someone else's language, to speak someone else's love language. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. And I love discovering people because I think everyone is so unique and so divinely created in a specific manner that should be seen, held, heard, and loved fully. And when we say, oh no, you need to love in my way, I believe that ties back into that wounding of because I was forced to love subconsciously most of the time in a manner that didn't serve me, I'm now going to demand it from other people in adult life, which only perpetuates that problem. So in reading this book, it'll give you that clarity on what your needs may be, what your parents' needs might have been, and you can talk to them about this. Welcome this discussion. I don't know if they'll be able to have it, but this is actually a better book to utilize when understanding your partner, because again, it can help them understand how they were raised and if their love language now is in alignment with themselves. So moving forward, you two can then create a new life around that new foundation of, oh, these are my love languages. And that excitement of, I would love to help you foster this new way of being that truly serves you on a very fundamental level. So again, I have that book linked down below. Check it out. It's definitely worth a read. And again, it's a very powerful book. So take it in slowly. Let the energy arise and what comes up and just journal, take it in. I couldn't recommend it more. So that is it for today's session. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you diving into this topic with me. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you found it very educational and inspiring and you think someone else might benefit from it, share it with them and comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. If you read this book, come back and share it with me because I think this is a very profound topic and something that I feel will really benefit a lot of people. So come back and let me know what you think. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a fabulous day and we'll see you in the next video.